Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wind Against Tide. Those that have followed us on our socials will know we have quite a bit to talk about this week with Tuna. But before I get to that, I best introduce our in-house guest for tonight. It is a man by the name of Luke McCreddin. Welcome aboard, Luke.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Adrian. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about being here, but I do feel like a bit of an imposter tonight.
Why is that?
A bit of a third wheel. You guys have both done something very special over the last couple of days, and here's just me sitting here doing nothing. So, I don't want to make this about me. I think we need to kick things off and jump into your pretty epic couple of days, guys. Come on, let's be. I know you're itching. Look at you, Adrian. You are itching to talk about what you've been doing. So, and that's fair enough.
All right, well, yeah, listen to him. He's a pro.
I'm a pro.
No, Luke.
This story may drag on. Like, it's an in-depth story here.
It should.
It's really in-depth.
All right, we're going to skip introducing Luke. We'll do that later. He's just going to be the anonymous voice in the background.
Exactly.
And we're going to throw it over to Adrian, and I want you to spare no detail, set the scene, go. Away you go.
Okay, thanks for those Wind Against Tiders who listen every week. He knew what I was doing this week.
Yep.
Dave wasn't really happy with what I was doing at all.
Look, I thought it was a weak plan, a very weak plan.
So, Luke, you may not have heard last week, but I said to Dave, you know what? I've got to drop my wife and my beautiful 3-year-old girl off the airport on Sunday.
Yep.
And then there's a real hot bite off Port Fairy because we had Joe on a couple of weeks ago, and good mate Sean Hilliard had called up and said, Joe, you're not going to believe it. I caught like 30 school tuna today off Port Fairy. Tell Adrian he's got to go. He wants to do his tag at 100.
Yeah.
Does Luke know what tag at 100 is?
Yeah, I've heard about this. But why are you thinking that's a weak plan? That's a solid sounding plan to start with as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Tag at 100.
You're a harsh man, Dave Standing.
We've been running this campaign for some time, and I feel, the seasons are changing. And I think it's just time to chase some bigger fish. So I wouldn't have invested time and money to drive 4 hours down the road to catch small tuna. But as it turns out, Adrian was kissed on the private parts.
You can almost say the planets really aligned for me on this trip. Yeah. It doesn't just, I didn't just go there with a plan to catch great fish. It was just a numbers thing. I love casting off my boat, getting top water action on the poppers. And that's what I plan to do.
Yeah.
So I dropped the wife and my beautiful 3-year-old daughter off at the airport and literally drove the boat to the airport. Yep. And because it saved me an hour and a half coming back to Carrum and going to Port Fairy.
True.
So I got to Port Fairy, filled the boat up, and I launched immediately. It was about 2 o'clock I launched.
Late launch, yep.
Very late launch. And Sean Hilliard had sent me marks where he'd smacked him a week before, which was off the back of JPI there.
Yep.
And I got there, I'm like, I can't really see any life, but he did mention go over the 50 line, there was fish there as well. So I went there and there was as much school fish as you can think of.
Brilliant.
Like literally I had 1 or 2 rods in the water and I was catching. But they were moving quite quick, so I kind of had to catch one and then find the school again.
Yeah.
So I got 5 and it was in a couple of hours, and then I went back to the ramp because of daylight savings.
Yeah.
You'd lose a lot of time on the water.
You really do. The days are short.
Anyway, I got back to the ramp about 5:30, mucked around the boat and stuff. I'm like, I should really call a caravan park for accommodation. And I've tried a few places and it's just ringing out. I'm like, oh no, the landlines are ringing out. I've got no chance of getting accommodation.
Yeah.
You know what? I've got like 4 pillows in the car. I'll just prop myself up in the car and that's what I'm doing.
Classic. Car sleeping.
Yeah. Boat ramp? Car sleeping at the boat ramp?
Yes,
Classic.
at the boat ramp.
Classic.
And I don't know if you've been to Port Fairy before. It's not a massive boat ramp at all.
No.
There's literally like 4 car spaces there.
Yeah.
And then there's off-street parking. But anyway, I'm like, oh, beauty. I'll go right by the cleaning table. There's lights. I'll park my boat under and start re-rigging stuff. And there was a boat that came in about 9:30. And I said to him, oh, what are you doing? You've been Mako drifting or something? He goes, no, I was trying to get my young daughter a schoolfish. and we hooked up about 5 o'clock, and she was on the rod for 20 minutes, and mind you, she's like a 12-year-old girl or whatever.
Yep.
And he goes, "You've been on it 20 minutes. Give it here. I'll finish it off for you." And no joke, he goes, "I was on this fish for 3 hours. I seen it a few times, and it was at least like 1.5 meters long."
Wow.
I go, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "It was on a 9,000 spin fisher,
Yeah.
which is basically like a 10,000 Saragossa."
Yep.
And he goes, "We got it so close, it was pinwheeling, and it just snapped." I go, "Are you kidding me? I was there today, and it was just like school fish everywhere, like busting up, and you've hooked onto a barrel." And he's just like, "Oh, I'll give you the mark." I caught it on a Rapala Magnum in a greeny red colour. I'm like, "Oh, were they on red bait?" He goes, "There was red bait everywhere."
Right.
Okay, I've got the perfect lure.
Yes, and this is another fortunate series of events, because the way we came to be with those lures in our possession was that they were gifted to us from Online Tackle because, well, let's be honest, they'd ordered a hell of a lot of them and they wanted to try and shift a few,
Yeah.
but it just so happens it was just what was needed.
Yeah, so I literally had this in the gunnel pocket in my boat, still in the wrapper. And I ripped it out as soon as he said that and put new split rings on it and new hooks,
Yeah.
singles. And I cut my braid off with the 40-pound leader and FG'd 120-pound leader on it and tied that on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's giving me the mark, and I was thinking about it all night, and I woke up about 4:30. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to launch my boat and sit in my boat and play with my sounder."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Keen as.
I was just like itching to get out there. And I'm at the boat ramp and there's like a breeze. Like I'm like, "Oh, it's like a southerly breeze. I'm going to get wet." Like,
Oh, yeah.
so I got a little 420 Renegade.
Yeah.
It's not the driest boat
Yeah.
when you get a bit of wind.
No.
And and then there was a Haynes hunter with twin yammies who had just launched. I think it's the Couchies, is it, Dave?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
The Couchy brothers, yep.
And they took off in the dark. I'm like, shit, they must have intel. I've got to get out there. They've launched. And I've literally just punched in my GPS, said like blah, 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 K's away. And I've just followed the line and I've got there. I'm like, oh, they've gone past the mark. They probably got given a different area
Yep.
to go to. And I literally saw some shimmering bait on the surface.
Yep.
And it's just shimmering on the surface. And I go, "Dave, I got like red bait shimmering on the surface."
Yeah, that was the funny thing because you sent me through that photo or video or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was just starting to type, "Oh, that's not ideal." Because when the bait's...
Still hating on the idea.
Well, normally when bait's shimmering on the surface, it's like actively the bait's kind of feeding and it's happy and it's not got predators on it.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was first light. Like the
Yeah.
sunlight, the sun hadn't even come over the horizon at this stage.
Yeah.
It's like 6 a.m. Like,
yeah. And then 2 seconds later, I get
Yeah.
a message going, "I think I'm on a barrel."
well, you know what happened? I literally put that one lure out on my back corner, and that's the only rod I had in the water. And I did one pass over it, did a U-turn, and came back around to it, and my rod goes off. And I go, "Oh, it must be a schoolie." I didn't mark anything. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Like, and I would loaded my tag pole up and like before I picked up the rod, and I picked it up and it kind of swam towards me. Must have, because I'm like, "Oh, it's coming in easy. I'll be able to, go on with my tag at 100 thing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, hang on." And it just goes down and I got this big weight and I'll get my phone out. I go, "Guys, I think I'm on a baz here. I got weight."
Yeah.
And Dave's just sending messages like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, it was very exciting start to my morning. I had to somehow try and do my job and monitor my phone and update the socials for everyone. So, I think I'm the real hero in this story. But
No, that's what it sounds like to me.
yes. But anyway, we'll let Adrian finish.
No, but honestly, I had snapper rods with me for this trip. I was like literally chasing schoolfish.
Yep.
So my main line was 30-pound braid.
Yeah.
And 10,000 Saragosas on a 6 to 12 kilo snapper rod.
Snapper
Yep.
rods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little bit undergunned.
Yeah.
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 And I just remember getting this weight. I'm like, I think I'm in the long run here. And I saw the fish after half an hour and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And I was just fighting up and down. I actually got stuck on my casting deck for about an hour and a half, and it started pouring rain on me, and the wind came. I'm like, this is absolute hell. This is the biggest physical and mental game I've probably ever been involved in, because I've got a spin rod and I can't put this rod down.
Yeah.
There's braid, like literally you can touch anything and it's gone.
Yeah. No harness, nothing.
No harness.
Yeah.
And I'm just hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, my mouth is so dry. I'm sweating.
Yeah. And
I can't even get my
so have you been on a quarter barrel solo before?
No.
He's been on one.
Yeah, I've only been on one barrel in my life before, and that was with Dave. And we lost it.
Solo's a different world, isn't it? Like you're battling.
Yeah.
At this point.
I'm out of energy.
It's visceral, isn't it, Dave?
It really is. I'm
there. I'm sitting on the back deck watching right now. This is magnificent.
Yes.
And literally, because I got like multicolored braid, I'm fighting for colors on this reel, and you just get these tail beats that just steal it back off you.
Yeah.
And I'm just fighting for colors, and it was just like chaos. I'm just like, I'm going to give up. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm going to be that guy who lands a fish on a snapper rod.
Good.
Did you think of me when you're in those moments of pain? And
I was like,
I got you through.
Dave would be so upset with me if I lose this fish.
What would Dave be saying right now?
Yeah, I'd be whispering sweet nothings into your ear and giving you the spurring you on to glory.
How far in when you were thinking about giving up?
Oh, look, I was looking at my phone. I was like, I hooked up at like 6:30 here, and it's like 8:30 now. I'm like, this is never ending. Like, I'm literally getting inch for inch, and he's taking a meter back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just way too hard. Like, with the gear, I'm maxed out.
Yeah.
And then I had this, just an uplift. It just like
Second wind.
Yeah, it was just like yanking it up and getting as much line and trying my heart out. And I finally had one on my rod, 120 pound that I.
What a feeling.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, I can see the fish here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just jumped 30 meters again. I've lost like 3 colors, and I
shattering.
had to battle for these things again.
Absolutely shattering. Now, how did you, on your own, go about getting this fish in the boat? Talk about end game here, Adrian.
The end game. You know what? Because we spoke about this the night before when we found out, when I was texting you, like, there's barrels here, I'm pretty sure. People are getting spooled and losing fish. And I said, and Jonah, good mate Jonah in Tassie, he's like, how will you catch these on your snapper rods, Adrian? I said, I'll be able to, get them. I just don't know how I'm going to land this fish. Like, if I actually hook up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking all night, how do I land a fish like this? And no answers came to me at all. It's just a spur of a moment thing.
Yeah. You just got to play it out as it happens, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Like, literally, I was stuck on the casting deck, and then somehow it went under the boat, and I had to lift my rod over my anchor and go right around the boat. And I got to the back corner where my steering wheel is. And I literally grabbed my bottle of water. I was holding the rod in the water. I'm doing it with one hand and just sculled like a 1.5 litre bottle of water.
Yep.
It's like, that was good.
Yeah,
and
nice.
then gave me another uplift and another hour probably, and the fish was just pinwheeling on the surface. I'm like, I'm going to get it here. I'm going to get it.
Yep.
I didn't. And went back down again.
And we'll be back next week for the rest of the story.
Yeah, that's right. Leave us on a cliffhanger.
But I mean, that's again, testing your mental strain.
I know that one really killed me when he went after that. I was just like, this is not good. Like, I just worked so hard to get to the back corner of my boat where I wanted to be hours ago, and now he's just dumped the line again.
Very upsetting.
But you know what? This fish just, like, in 10 minutes, the fish just clicked and I was able to bring him up again. And then he got him even closer. And because I tied my leader straight to the thing, I was able to wind it, almost close to the tip.
Yeah.
And I literally reached over to the back gunnel and grabbed my gaff and just got it in. I'm like...
You swung for glory.
Yeah, I did.
Sunk it in.
And it landed.
And I was just like, yes, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah. That is a big feeling of satisfaction, isn't it?
Oh, it really was. It really was.
And then I believe you went on a tour of glory around the towns of the southwest. Off into Warrnambool to show off your catch there, and under the guise of getting ice and stuff. And
it was magnificent.
Yeah,
just waving to the township as you drive through.
And I guess this is where I come in, Adrian. I take over.
Yeah.
So
pass me that lure. I want to have a look.
Yeah, check her out. the lure that did the damage.
Don't get hooked, Luke.
Jesus.
That's my job, Luke. Spilling beer everywhere.
Sorry.
Not to worry. Yeah, so once this all went down, I got very excited.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested when it was just a school fish tagging trip, but once the word of barrel got out, I thought, geez, I'm in here. And very fortuitously, it just so happened that I was able to get Tuesday off, Adrian.
Yeah.
So the only obstacle in my way, well, there was a couple. After work, I had to go pick my boat up from getting new clears and canopy on it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I'd promised my mum I'd go around for dinner. And you just can't let your mum down, you know what I mean? So that really delayed me a little bit. But anyway, we did that. We held up our end of the bargain, had dinner, and then I packed my car and I was away, driving solo down to the southwest, arriving at Adrian's destination.
Yeah.
You'd found a room at a caravan park by
I
the stage.
did.
And get in there at about 1 a.m. And Adrian's failed to tell me there's no linen or anything. So I laid on a bare mattress for a few hours, being cold. And then we launched and away we went. Brendan Wing also brought his boat down and he went out. So we kind of headed out together. But yeah, obviously word had got out and plenty of boats out on the water. But we persisted and we did hook one small fish in the morning, which was a bit of a false start. About a 10, 15 kilo school fish.
Well, we had this rod on strike drag on 37 kilo.
Yeah, this thing actually ripped line on the bite to the point where I thought, oh, we're in here. And then pretty much didn't do anything else and winched it in and it was a little fish. So we added to tag at 100 there.
Yeah, we did.
And once we speared him back in the water, away we went. And long story short, I spotted big work up in the distance and we're heading over to that. And a couple of marks come across Adrian's new one of his new upgrades on his boat. He's gone to a giant sounder, and the upgrades never finish. Yeah. And I was just about to say to Adrian, I reckon there's a couple of marks there, and bang, one of the rods in the corner takes off.
It did.
Takes about 10 meters line, spits the hook, and then I turn around and I see a big explosion behind.
Oh, did you see an explosion?
Oh yeah. I think 2 or 3 fish had a crack at that lure.
Yep.
Behind our skirted JB dingo in the short corner there, and in the short rigger, sorry, and that takes off, and then we weren't 100% sure that it was a big fish for a little bit because it just didn't take much line, but once I sort of got weight on it and could feel the big tail beats and that, we decided it was probably a bigger model. Adrian was not up for winding it in, so.
Well, you actually thought it was a school fish to begin with.
Yeah, until that weight came on and I felt the big tail beats.
Yeah, but I had it in the gunnel still. I'm like,
yeah,
winding it. I'm like, nope, not for me, Dave. My arms were just killing after the day before.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was then my turn and I thought I'll knock this thing over pretty quick. I got the big gear, the big 37 kilo tackle, and I pushed that lever up to sunset.
You did after. What, after half an hour you went straight to sunset or something?
I thought, this thing's coming in. And so I'm probably holding 15, 16 kilo of drag.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly, but a fair bit of weight. But I'm actually harnessed in. And, this thing was an absolute beast. It just had...
It was.
I've been a part of a lot of big tuna captures, a lot. Over 100 kilo, some of them, up around 150 kilo, and I'd say this thing probably was one of the hardest fighting ones I've ever been a part of. It just had a lot of will.
Have you fought a barrel before, Luke?
No.
Okay.
No. So again, I'm on the outer here. I'm a
no, I'm just asking me because these fought so bloody hard.
So why? What do you put that down to?
Well, a few things. I'd say they're in very comfortable conditions for the fish. There's a lot of food there, and they're in good condition. And also, for some reason, and other people found this as well, the fish weren't taking a lot of line on the hookup. So ideally, with big tuna, you want them to dump heaps of line off the reel and burn themselves out.
Yeah.
But this one obviously probably only took about 50 meters, and it was conserving its energy. And we also found it was very, very hard to get a good angle on it to get it up to the surface. It just kept trying to get back under the boat. One of the issues with the small tinny is I think the tuna was kind of dragging the boat around. So the
Is that
boat
what
was
you
getting
reckon?
dragged back over the tuna. So, yeah, it was pretty hard to move. And this thing was just ridiculously stubborn.
I heard a lot of guys had long fights on the weekend then.
Yeah.
Like, they all said they were fighting straight up and down.
Yeah.
These fish, which is probably not normal, is it?
No, not to that extent. I mean, they all sort of fight fairly similarly. You can work out a pattern after you've caught a few, but this one was particularly stubborn.
So, did you mention sizes? How big was?
Oh, yeah, no, we didn't because Dave just
Yeah, he took
kind of
over.
just gloried
He did.
into his fish.
No, he did.
Sorry, mate.
No, I saw that.
You saw that?
Back to you, Adrian.
I thought,
Yeah. Well, the one I got up here, as you can see,
Yeah.
that one went, was it 160 short length?
And that photo there was during the parade. He actually had
Yeah.
someone towing the boat through the streets
I
while he
did,
was
in
standing
Audible.
there.
As you can see, the servo there, we were moving. We had a whole street closed down for
Yeah.
that.
Well, you can see there he's on a main road, and he's holding the fish up like a big sign. And as cars go past, he's giving them a royal wave and saying, "Look at this, peasants."
Yeah.
You know,
Look at me.
I caught this fish and I had no photos of this fish. Like,
Yeah.
I tried to take a selfie, like I duct taped my phone to the net pole that I had in my boat.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible photo.
Yep.
And I'm like, tackle shop guy, he can take a photo for me. I need ice, I need a fish bag, I need to keep this fish pristine.
Yep. So you went up there and got glory
and
photos from him.
Yeah, and Corey actually said to me, he said, if you send me that photo, you can have the ice for free. So thanks, Corey.
Oh,
there you
very
go.
good.
He,
So
gave,
what
me,
is-
he
so-
gave me like 45 kilos of ice.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
So what did you say? What did it weigh?
So it went, we reckon around 70 to 75. Because we had another guy, he had a few 60-kilo fish on the cleaning table.
Yep.
And we put ours next to his and he goes easily 75.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what about you? I mean, obviously it's going to top that.
Back to my story. I don't even know where we're at. So anyway, for me, another long, hard battle ensued. We went to 3 hours again, believe it or not, which is a very long fight. And I was in a lot of pain, wasn't I, Adrian?
Do you want to tell what happened when we tried to capture this fish?
Let's jump to that. So we'd gone out that day with the pure intentions of letting this fish go with a tag in it because we thought that's going to boost our numbers. No, I've always wanted to tag big bluefin.
Yep.
So I want, it'd be cool to see one recaptured, hopefully a few years down the track. I've actually released probably 2 or 3, maybe more, over 100 kilo, but haven't put a tag in one yet. And I know all too well that trying to keep them calm beside the boat in order to get a photo and put a tag in is very difficult. And this thing, after 3 hours, came up like it was bloody having the time of its life. It was absolutely powering along.
It did. I just remember getting the gaff in its lip and it's just like shaking crazily on the side of the boat. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this thing is green as, and it's thrown the gaff out of the lip and then into his brain.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh no, this isn't good.
Wasn't ideal.
Not
This
ideal.
is not good.
But
But
there
it only
wasn't-
got worse from there.
Wow.
Really, really bad. Like, this is not textbook shit like when you fish.
It wasn't good. Dr. Dave had a look at him and decided it wasn't terminal.
Right.
No, but then
It wasn't
the
a-
gaff came out of its brain and down his lateral line and blood's just gone everywhere.
Yeah, at that
That's
point,
probably terminal.
Dr. Dave was like, this isn't ideal.
Yeah.
And anyway, we had him on the lip gaffs and we're sort of swimming him, deciding what we're going
I
to
know.
do.
It gets worse from here.
And he goes absolutely mental, throws these gaffs out of its mouth and takes off again. I'm like, you're joking. The rod is in the other side of the boat in the rod holder and free spool. Somehow the line,
The line's gone like scraped across the motor and the fish is just screaming in the holder again. And
Yeah.
Dad goes, I can't do this.
I'm
I
not
can't
doing this. I've already landed it.
And he goes, you need to wind this fish back in.
Yeah, you get him back up, Adrian.
Okay, are you kidding me?
Pass the buck. Wow.
And he starts strapping this harness on me. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And it must have been another 10-minute fight. And I'm trying to push the drag lever even more.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's already out tunted. So here I am pulling the line like this and winding it on. I'm like, I don't even care if we lose this thing.
Oh yeah, the levels of aggression went right up.
I'm just full like grabbing the leader, winding it on.
Some pretty full on driving, and
Yeah.
we grabbed him again.
And Dave's just gone whack.
Yeah, at that point we decided he probably would be better served coming home so that we can eat him and share him with friends rather than it just going to waste. So we end up with this big fish on the deck.
You know what was really funny? There was this little 449 tinny driving around and saw us land it, and they're cheering, "Yeah, you done it!" And then they come back for another pass, and they must thinking, "Are they fighting another fish?"
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That would have been so confusing for them. We're like waving to them because we got this fish beside the boat. And then they come back 5 minutes later and Adrian's harnessed up and fighting again. Oh, that would have been very confusing indeed.
It was like, just the funniest moment ever. But it was not textbook releasing.
No.
These big fish are really hard to release, like especially on a small boat. Like you just got no control of them.
Yep.
This thing was like a machine.
Do they normally come up that green?
That one was very energetic. Sometimes you'll get them, they'll lay there really nicely. Like I released one with my wife, Maddie, and that one literally just sat there, probably about 110 kilo, only a 45-minute fight. And that one just sat there like worn out and was very easy to get a lip gaff in and
So
then release it
here's the
again.
one Dave caught. Dave's like 7 foot tall there.
Yeah, I know.
At least.
You shouldn't let me get photos like that.
But
Makes it look
they're
small.
just showing the little 420 Renegade catching barrels.
Very cool. So
That is cool.
So since we'd kept this fish, we thought we got to do it justice. We went and got some ice off Andrew Page, actually, from Online Tackle, threw us over a bag. So we gutted the fish, put some ice up in its stomach to at least keep it cool, and put a wet towel on it. And then we went straight in and we put it in an ice bag on ice where Adrian's fish from the day before was residing. So we swapped them out, filled it at Adrian's fish, and put mine in the ice bag. And then it came on home with us, didn't it, Adrian?
Mate, that thing is still in my factory.
Yes.
We actually did a guy taku print of it. I don't know if you can see that behind Dave right now.
This is where I was
Did
leading
you want
to.
another beer?
Yeah, sure.
You may
I'll
have
try
thought
not to
you
spill this one.
You spilt half
I'm
of it
so
on my
sorry.
table.
I'm so
You
sorry.
don't have to be sorry.
I really was
How many
aiming.
times Dave has spilt a beer on
See
this
this
table?
mark on the table? That's my beer.
And that mark over there and this mark.
I'd
That's
actually
all
had
Dave.
enough of Dave's story, so I was just tipping beer over the console to see if we could shut him up.
Yeah, well-
that looks, by the way, on Dave's cam there, that looks magnificent. I just got here sort of as that was happening, and I should say to put a bit of I know we don't have like smell-o-vision or whatever you call it, but it is very tunery in here.
It is. It is.
Dave walks in after work. He goes, it smells like barrels in here.
Yeah, that tuna smell, it really lingers, and it doesn't get any better after a few days, does it?
No, but
it takes weeks to absorb into things and
It really does.
slowly.
I do
disperse.
love that print. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll sort that out as the week goes on. We're a bit time poor because we're back at work and family duties and everything, but we'll get ourselves sorted. So
That photo of the fish, of you two standing with the fish, I'm just thinking about the length of the fish was what, 1.5 meters ish?
No, it was
No.
1.8 short length, wasn't it?
which fish are we talking about?
Oh, your one.
The tuna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean the tuna? That's all we've been talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
He's
normal
talking
one.
about this one here.
That one, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just thinking that sort of about 40% of the length of your boat, which is quite remarkable to think about. That's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it definitely made the boat feel small on the second occasion when we gaffed it, and it came back to life again after we'd bled it.
Oh my god, this
Oh, really?
thing
In the boat?
This thing was towing my boat around.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like it was thrashing on the side of the boat. I'm like, holy hell, Dave! My boat's moving backwards, spinning in a circle.
I was holding it by the gaff, and it was towing that boat backwards in circles at 3 knots.
Yeah,
It was
this thing was a power machine.
it was like possessed. And then when we got it on the boat, it then went crazy again and nearly threw all the stuff on the floor into the ocean. So it was very spirited.
That's probably a serious point about, I think it's great doing the small boat thing, big fish, Adrian, but it is probably something that people should take into consideration if they're doing that in a small boat is a fish like whether it's a big tuna, marlin, even a big kingfish. Be careful, those things go nuts if they come aboard and still have some energy.
Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't worry about
So
it.
basically, after I, I'm
I'm trying to be serious here for just a second. God. No, sorry. Come on.
We don't deer in
I was going to
series.
say, so basically after I caught my fish, it created some kind of boat frenzy down at the boat ramp. Like it went from 10 boats at the boat ramp to 200 boats, didn't it, Dave?
Are you trying to say you started a trend?
Possibly.
I think he's trying to say he's
claiming
an
it.
influencer.
He's claiming it. He's a tuna influencer. Yeah. Well, all right.
Watch it
fair
on the
enough.
gram.
If that's what you want to tell everyone, then you go ahead. Well
Okay.
done.
No, well done, boys. Congratulations. That's a magnificent couple of days you've had and a couple of beautiful, beautiful fish. And you've worked hard for them.
No, really have.
Yeah, so we thought, anyway, we better tell those tales. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's, as Adrian said, that fish is still in the factory there on ice. And we'll be cutting it up and finding thousands of different ways to cook it up, I think, over the next few days.
Yeah.
But, we had lucky enough to have our friend Neil come in and do his Gaio Taku ink print behind us, which is bloody awesome. So we're going to get
I
that.
can't wait to get that framed. And the snapper one too that's been clipped to the whiteboard for a
Yep.
long time.
We'll have to get onto that. I reckon there's a spot on the wall that is made for it, Adrian.
So, Dave,
Yes.
you've invited Luke McCreddin onto the show.
All right, we're going to do the introduction now.
Luke,
Yeah.
I have looked at you up since Dave said you're going to
Okay.
have Luke on the show, and you have your own podcast.
Oh, yeah. Look, podcasting for me is something that I've done for quite a while now. Seems a bit crazy. Bit of radio, bit of podcast. Back in the day, Dave,
You did radio.
you were probably a part of a few conversations on air down at Casey Radio. Do you remember those days?
Well, I was going to mention, Luke, that in a roundabout way, you are the reason that we are doing this podcast.
Oh, stop.
You are. So,
No,
Yeah.
look, it's a great medium, and it's from when we were doing the community radio stuff, which I love to do, and it was started well before my time, by the way. I jumped on board late, but later in that piece, I sort of started getting the recordings from that radio show, clipping them up a bit, and then releasing them as what is a podcast. But I didn't really think of. I think it was just an audio file back then. So I was, I kind of stumbled across podcasts.
you've invented them. by the sounds of it.
That's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
you know who I heard?
Adrian's invented tuna bites. You've
Yeah.
invented podcasts.
You know who I heard invented podcasting? Tom Green. So
Yeah.
Joe Rogan went on his TV
Yeah.
show and he called it I can't remember what he called it, but it was a podcast.
It was an internet show.
Yeah.
There's a guy in America, and I don't know his name, who apparently created the first podcast, and he used to record himself talking in his car.
Wow.
Right.
And would release them on the internet, which is basically it's come full circle, because that's what podcasts are now. You can just record them anywhere and everywhere. So I think the story goes, and I cannot remember the guy's name, but there is audio of it somewhere, and it's him just basically just waffling on like we do. Not about fishing, but so I think that was sort of it. But yeah, Tom Green did it way back when,
and Joe Rogan goes,
went on to his stuff and like that. Yeah. So look, it's kind of the way, like, it's just, I guess you just, if you're into it, you stumble across it, or, I've always had a bit of an interest in radio. My grandfather used to call footy back in the day on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rex Hunt, was he?
Before those days, like, well, I'm talking, 50s or something, where they used to call the grand final on radio with just one commentator and one boundary rider,
Yeah, right. The
With
golden age.
no crowd noise, just silence.
So I've always had an interest, but and then that led into just creating some of my own stupid stuff, and then later on, more recently doing a series of, I don't want to bore listeners, non-fishing related podcasts, so more just sort of conversational, journalistic type stuff. I have had you feature on one of my podcasts, Dave.
And I've noticed it's gone a little quiet since then. I think I might have ruined it for you.
No, I think it was the pinnacle. It was the pinnacle,
that's right.
I couldn't reach that top again. No, but I think, look, without going into it, COVID kind of put a dampener on a lot of that. I was doing a lot of face-to-face stuff, and doing it over Zoom and whatever doesn't quite cut the mustard. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, and over the years I've done lots of. We did a couple of series with Hook, Line, and Sinker, which a lot of people will be familiar
Tassie
with.
boys.
Nick and Andrew from Tassie, and that they've had a TV show 20 odd years now, and was able to write and produce a podcast with those guys, and that was fun. That's still out there on various platforms.
My favourite episode was when they wound a rock in from 500 metres of water. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they were sword fishing when they first sword fishing.
Yeah, with Leo.
And he's just holding a rubber band. That's one strong rubber band.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have listened to your the podcast that you did work on with them, including the beginners how to catch fish, which I was furiously taking notes of.
Yeah.
But I think that just goes to show that you guys are so good at presenting that you can make something like that interesting to someone who's not even the target audience.
Yeah. It's a funny one because I think, you guys have been fishing for a long time. You're better than I am, but
I only started last week.
We've done it for a long time, and you forget almost sometimes. You have to sometimes take yourself back a peg and realise there's way more people that are just starting out than there are that are experienced.
100%.
That's right.
And we forget that sometimes, and I think social media has caused a bit of a false sort of image of whatever industry it is, whether it's fishing or whatever it is. But so when we wrote that series, it was actually quite nice to go back to basics was the name of the series, but we had to almost relearn a few things, and we go, well, what are the things you do when you're starting out? And it's as simple as where do I go? And you go, I've got to go to a tackle shop, but people don't ever know that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, but then when you do, it's like, holy shit. Like, what? There's a million things in here. Where do I even start?
It's a community, this fishing thing. You learn things from people every day in fishing. Yeah. And you never know everything.
No, and I refuse to believe anyone who sort of claims to know everything. We all know people that are like that out there, and that's fine. But what I love to do is,
Adrian.
I didn't want to say it.
The Tuna guy.
Now he's called me Tuna Lord Adrian. It's legally changed his name.
It's a Tuna a lot.
But I love it, and I still love it. I still love walking down. We've recently moved down. We're living on the Bellarine Peninsula now, and obviously surrounded by water. I love walking down the pier or a jetty or whatever it is and chatting to some of the old guys or, watching the kids getting into it. And I still love listening to them. And the other thing I really believe is, I've been in the tackle industry for a long time and doing lots in the media side of things. I'm really lucky to have friends around me that are really good anglers like yourselves and whoever else. But there's something to be said for listening to someone who ignores all that, has never been a part of the social media scene, who's well into their 70s, who goes down to the Port Arlington Pier every Wednesday night and catches fish every night.
100%.
And you just watch him and you go, you've got it sussed, mate.
Yeah.
You have got this worked out, and as happy as Larry.
Yep.
I
suppose they have no preconceived ideas because they haven't been a part of the whole social media thing, and everything they've learned has been through pure trial and error.
Yep.
And they've probably learnt a lot of skills that we will never know because we just simply don't spend the time down on those piers doing that sort of fishing. So
and we're so quick to judge. You go, look at them and their oversized rod and reel and their 30-pound monofilament catching white. But then you go, actually, wait, they're catching whiting. Hang on, what? They're actually. And
do you remember the old wog pole for the garfish?
Yeah.
It's just like a 20-foot pole with no reel.
Yeah.
And
Adrian, you can't call them that.
That's what they were called, weren't they?
They're called ethnic poles.
David.
Cannot do that. Yes, but I do know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still around, and people do it, and they catch mullet and whatever, garfish, whatever they want. But yeah, I guess back to the point is the back to basics thing was humbling, and it was great, and I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I'd love to do more in that space because I think we're quick to forget that there are so many more people that, and I actually think that there's people that get turned off because they think they have to be an expert, and if they're not day one, then they look around them and everyone's got all the gear, shiny gear, and strutting around in their tournament shirts.
Yeah.
And
do you know what? I think to be a great fisherman, you need to be able to listen to other anglers. You can't be arrogant about everything and know it all because there is a lot of guys out there that won't listen.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But how can you learn? And I think about people that are close friends and listening to this podcast, and you guys even talk about the tuna, and you just little things, and you just got to take it in. And I listen to everyone. I don't listen to Mitch Chapman much, but I listen to everyone.
That's I'm going to have to take note of how many shots get thrown.
We call him Chitch Matman.
I'm going to keep a tally of Mitch Chapman shots that get thrown throughout this podcast.
Look, I'm not going to lie. The goal that I want to achieve out of doing this podcast is having more downloads than Mitch's episode that he did a few weeks ago, right?
Okay.
All right.
So people listening in or watching it on YouTube, share it as many times as you can because I just want that number to surpass Mitch's, and that's all I want.
You've got some work to do because we've just bored everyone to death with the long, drawn-out story of our tuna, which I hope it wasn't boring. I thought it was quite exciting, but anyway, some people might have found it boring. But now we've got
Mate, I put everyone on the edge of the seat. They were sitting on my casting deck.
They really
watching
were.
me.
They really were. They
were
could,
in the zone.
They could hear the creak of the line and the groans of the angler. It was very exciting, but we won't go over that whole thing again.
No. Actually, I saw something on Instagram that you tagged a Mako or Mako shark, however you want to say it,
Yeah.
in Barwon.
Oh, mate.
And I'm on Vic Fisheries now. How do I
Yes.
find this link?
So the best, just go into the search tab and just type in Mako tagging. So this is so cool, and I feel so lucky to have done this. So I do, I suppose with the podcasting stuff, I produce and host a podcast for VFA, for Victorian Fisheries Authority.
Am I going?
Right.
Just go to the top one.
So you're a bit of a podcast
Nerd.
manager.
Nerd, junkie.
Producer.
Oh, producer.
You're a producer.
I produce.
So
Okay, yeah. So I do. Yeah, I produce a lot, and I actually produce and edit and do a lot. I've got a few clients on the go, so I do it in my spare time as well. I love it.
Yeah, when we were setting this up, actually, I hit you with quite a lot of questions, and you were very generous with your time in helping us.
Well, I thought you were going to pay me.
Yeah, well, I'm not, but I'm paying you with life experiences. You know,
Mate, it's great. Very fortunate to do some stuff with
So which one's your fish?
fisheries. Now, and people that are listening that can't see this, go to the Victorian, or you can even just Google Mako tagging Victoria. There is this amazing interactive chart that you can, or map that you can look at and see trails of where these Makos that are being tagged. Did you say Marcos?
In New Zealand, they call them Mako.
It's the Kiwi interpretation.
I don't want to offend you. If you want to say Marcos, I'll say Marcos.
Adrian's wife is Kiwi, so he likes to
I wear
use
jandals
the
on the
local
boat.
dialect.
Choice.
Yeah.
Chili bins.
Yeah. I do it all, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so these very fortunate enough to be invited out with Dr. Corey Green, who's from Queenscliff over there, is the lead scientist and absolute superhuman, great guy. And they've did it last year. That was the first tagging they did with Mako sharks. They tagged 4 or 5, and you know it's amazing to see what happens. So this one you're looking
This
at.
your
here,
one, the red one?
This is
Yep.
the red one. Her name's Bonnie.
Bonnie, that's a lovely name.
So we tagged her off Bowen Heads, sort of, I guess, in between Bowen Heads and Torquay. I guess it's whatever when you're that far out. But and she was about estimated 40 or 50 kilos.
Okay.
About 1.6
So not overly
huge.
long.
The week before, I didn't go out. They hooked one that they estimated 150 and couldn't get it anywhere near the boat. So, and Corey did say he's quite happy about that because thinking about what you said before about getting tuna to the boat and trying to get them tagged or whatever, they had this fantastic contraption that folds down. There's actually video if you want. It's on the fisheries Facebook page. I don't know how easy that is to get up, but
Well, Adrian doesn't have Facebook, so he probably can't get into it.
Instagram?
No. Yeah, no.
Instagram. It's on Instagram. Anyway,
Okay.
and it folds down off the side of the boat, and
Yep.
they literally swim the shark up into this platform. So it stays in the water.
So like a sling type.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it stays in the water apart from its dorsal fin where they attach the satellite tag.
So the shark's happy.
Shark's happy. This shark swam up.
I'm on Fisheries website here.
All right, so go down. This is the Instagram account. Go down a bit. It might be down a bit because they're pretty proactive. So there's lots of stuff on there.
Why aren't you on there, Adrian, with your tuna? He thought everyone would be shouting from the roof.
The video tile might look black because it wasn't like a
Okay.
thumbnail. So they swim it up. This Mako that we got, she swam up to the boat after she was hooked. She didn't play up at all, and we're thinking, well, we don't want to get it on the tray yet because she'll go nuts. But after a while, we said, all right, bring her up, and she sat there beautifully. Absolute stunning Mako. She was just beautiful. Got the tag, satellite tag in. It all happens within a few minutes. Like these guys do such a great job. They don't. Yeah, here we go. So that's the satellite tag there. That Corey's preparing to attach to the. There she is. There, look at her.
So that's your actual shark.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is my little video that I made. Thanks, Adrian.
Oh, very
Videographer.
well made.
And there it goes. So it sits on that little tray there. See, Dave, that's what I was talking
yeah,
about.
that's cool.
Might be
Is that
handy for a
aluminium?
barrel. Yeah, I think it must be. And then they drop the tray, and she swims away. Happy days. Literally 5-10 minutes tops.
Yep.
And that's that.
That's really cool.
So cool, and it was such a great experience to actually be a part of that, and then to go onto that map and watch where she's going. So effectively, this satellite tag is activated and pings the GPS every time it comes out of the water.
Yep. So when she's up cruising on the surface getting some rays, it's sending back.
So I
information.
see she's gone to basically the west coast of Tasmania here.
Yeah, and that was her last location. I actually messaged Corey today saying it's been a couple of weeks. Should we be worried? But no, look, it sometimes and on that it almost looks like she's drifting off the shelf a bit. So she might be heading deep for whatever. But what's interesting, and on that map, you can see the 4 or 5 sharks from last year as well. If you go to see all, if you click that little.
Oh, whoops.
Hit see all. Yeah. That's okay. and there's no rhyme or reason. This is what I love about it, right? So 4 or 3 of these sharks were tagged off Port Fairy.
Yeah.
One of them went west, completely randomly went west, ended up in the bite there.
Yeah.
And the other 3, one of them went right around Tasmania and up to Sydney, and the other 2 went through the strait and up to Sydney.
One's gone right around Tassie.
Yeah, did a full lap. Scenic route.
So they're basically just following food around.
I guess it has to be. Like they just have to pick up a trail and just follow it. And they don't, they're solo sharks. They don't swim with others. And they're basically that way, they're born live and they're on their own from day one. So, yeah, I guess it's just a case of they just hit the road and see what happens.
What was the purpose? What kind of research were they trying to get out of this?
Well, it's a bit of finding out about their movements. So at the moment, the second year in, they're and look, I'm not a scientist, it'd be great for you guys to chat to someone at Fisheries because they're
Jonah.
full of information. But, it's a case of just learning a bit more about them, really, finding out about their movements, what they do, their habits. And as you can see with that map, it's kind of, there's no real rhyme or reason to it at the moment, which I think's cool. I mean, I in a weird way, I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
That it's not so predictable that it's like, oh, yeah, here they are again. Like,
yeah, well, I think that it's there's been a lot of Mako sharks around in our local waters.
In the Barwon area especially.
so have you guys seen many? You obviously have done a heap of tuna out the front.
Yeah, out of Western Port.
Have you seen many around that area?
No. I
haven't seen them.
It's quite funny because a lot of guys were trolling the king brands out of Barwon and catching a lot of Makos.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
While trolling for tuna.
Yep.
So I've got this theory where the tuna just disappeared. And I saw your video of your shark. I go, wonder if they moved that same current down to the west side of Tassie.
Wow.
That water, that day we tagged it, I've never seen water in Bass Strait as blue and as clear. It was unbelievable. I don't know, there was a video I put on Instagram of this little blue shark that swam up to our boat. It was tiny.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
It was the most beautiful. I wanted to jump in. It felt tropical.
Yeah.
Then I thought, no, we are burling here for Mako, so I might just not.
And
But-
there's a chance of a white as well.
Yeah, and that's, especially places like you guys were the last couple of days, there's lots of whites around.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Oh,
you always
crazy.
see Salty Dog, frequently posting a white at the side of his boat.
When we thought we were releasing the tuna still, Adrian's like, it would be the best shot if someone jumped in the water with it and we got the drone up, and I was like, it would be, but you can do it.
Yeah.
I'll let you have
Rock,
that
paper,
one.
scissors. No, it's not worth it. Oh, no, look, that's me. Lots of people dive and love that stuff. Not for me.
No.
But yeah, so no, all in all, awesome experience. I love it. I love that they're learning a bit more about these beautiful fish and sharks.
It's remarkable how often we catch Mako sharks down here, and they've got long line hooks in the corner of the jaw. Like a pretty high percentage of them have hooks that have been cut off or they've bit off, which is kind of like a crude form of tagging, I guess. So we know that the majority of long lining takes place up the east coast of Australia. So these sharks have clearly come down from there.
Yep.
And, it shows that their population isn't ridiculously large because of the amount of them that are interacting with humans. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I should be said too, those tags, they reckon average last for about 6 months, the batteries in them. So it's kind of when those ones from last year ended, that was just a battery thing. But yeah, it'd be really cool to see if they then turned around or they went across the Tasman or whatever they do. Obviously, as you said, the Marcos I'm assuming they're the same. Are they the same? Are they the same?
Yeah.
Well, once they get halfway to New Zealand, they then become Marcos.
Do they have to sign something? Sign some
Just
paperwork?
crossing the Tasman, basically.
There's a border crossing. They have to declare any foreign fish they've brought in from Australian waters. It's paperwork and whatnot. But yeah,
Is Mako shark fishing as big as it used to be?
Yeah. No, a lot
Oh.
of people still do it.
Conflict. Wow.
I think they do.
That was a no and a yes simultaneously, and I'm in the middle of a fight here, guys.
yep.
It's wind against tide.
Give me
Who's
the rest.
wind?
Give me the rest of you.
Well, I often say this: whatever's stronger at the time, I am that.
Oh, wow.
Classic Adrian.
Yeah.
Give me the rest of your beer. He's going to get it on his face. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's unpack this. You're saying no, Dave.
Well, I think with the boom of game fishing in Victoria, once upon a time, Mako sharks were the pinnacle. They were it.
Yes.
That's a fair call.
And now we have bluefin nearly year round. We have swordfish. We've got genuine world-class fisheries. And I think that most people would probably prefer to be doing that than catching Mako sharks.
A lot of people still like, when they're gummy fishing offshore, they always have a Mako rod out too.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that do this offshore.
Well, it's like that thing, I suppose, that, like, and to your point, Dave, Mako shark fishing in general, I suppose, is a lot of boredom with a bit of excitement.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like marlin fishing, trolling around lures or something. But so to be able to go tuna fishing, especially if you're casting or whatever, there's pretty much excitement the whole time, for the most of the time.
That's
so
right.
that probably, it's probably a fair call.
Keeps you physically always on the
Dave
go.
didn't think my trip was going to be exciting, did he?
Yeah, but mate, do not for a second tell me that you went down there thinking I'm going to catch big bluefin.
Well,
No,
did
you
I
didn't,
though?
because you had your snapper rods, and your tag pole, and you just had some sort of hand of God.
Maybe he wanted to catch a big bluefin on a snapper rod.
Well, certainly that is a possibility, but all the talk in the lead up was that he was trying to get his 100 tuna
So
tags.
how many are you up to?
20.
Jesus,
So
you've got a long way to go, mate.
Yeah, tagged another 6 over the weekend.
Now-
and that was a huge speed bump, these big bluefin.
So-
it's not a bad speed bump.
The damn things. How dare they?
They are inconvenient. On the way home, actually, I was on the phone to Adrian while we were both driving, keeping each other awake as you do.
Good.
And I actually said to Adrian, how are you going to now go back to chasing school bluefin to fill out your quota when there's big bluefin around? You've experienced the elation of catching one of them. And he goes, yeah, no, I think I might call it there.
No, well, there was a clause.
20.
There was a clause.
What was the
Now,
clause?
let's
that
look
I had
into
to
this.
catch 2 large bluefin
Within the
on my
100?
boat. Yeah.
I think I said over 100 though.
Well, and that was an out.
Yes, there was a get out clause.
And my boat has caught 2 large bluefin over the weekend.
But did I say you had to tag them? That's where the conjecture is.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Yeah,
But
you became murderous.
you know what?
Well,
I'm
there's still
still
one there if you want to pop a tag in it. I mean, does that count?
It's not going to do much research,
no.
is it?
That
It's
would
not.
be a technicality, but I didn't stipulate, so I guess
You've got to
could
take
probably-
advantage of grey area.
Yeah, I should have run that through past my lawyers and made it a bit more watertight.
Anyway, I'm on 20%, which isn't good.
Yeah.
You know what? I was stuck on.
Like if you're on 20%, if your phone was on 20%, you'd go, shit, I need a charger. So
that was the point of my trip to Port Fairy.
Yeah.
I was like, there's lots of bluefin here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go bang, 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 bang. and you know what? I tagged 5 quickly the Sunday after. I'm like, you beauty. I got 30 tags here. They're all getting deployed.
wow, that's
And,
confidence.
Yeah. There was just a huge speed bump.
So can we publicly declare that it's over, or
Wow.
There's still time.
Am I going to be on the show where you declare that it's over?
he will never actually say it?
Right.
And
No,
he
it's not
knows.
over. It's not over.
Okay.
It is over.
No,
mate.
I respect your, you want to power on and keep at it.
Dave's not happy. He's shaking his head.
I
like
just
this,
want you to
rolling
be
his
honest with Wind Against Tigers. I mean, it's not fair of you to lead them on.
eyes. I'm still going.
Yeah. It's pretty clear to me.
Okay. If we can cycle back to the whole podcasting thing, though,
Yeah,
Luke,
sure.
Wouldn't mind knowing what's your plans, what's happening, what do you got in the pipeworks? Will there be more stuff with the hook, line, sinker guys?
Yeah, look, it's definitely more stuff happening in general. I've got a bunch that I'm recording at the moment. I still, I love talking about fishing and boating, so there's stuff happening there. It's funny doing it for so long now, though. I'm very I just second guess everything I do. It's like I recorded about 6 episodes of this series that I wanted to do, and then just went, and I think it's probably good. But I don't know. I'm a bit funny like that. Anyway,
I think you got to throw it out there and see what people's reaction
You're
is.
probably right. But I am working on something really cool, which I can't say at the moment, but maybe I can come on again another time and talk about it because I'm really excited about it. And as far as the hook, line, and sinker guys go, yeah, we'll always do stuff together, always have a bit of fun. They're always up for a laugh, and we'll drag them in here one day.
Oh, wow.
You'll
There we
laugh
go.
your asses off.
Yeah.
They are very entertaining fellows.
I doubt they're as funny as us, though.
No, no one's as funny as you, Dave.
Self-appointed.
But I guess just to finish up, I don't want to end your podcast chat. I mean, we can keep going, but the beauty of it is it's this freedom and over radio where there's a lot of restrictions and time limits and whatever else, as you guys are now experiencing it. It's this freedom that you can just chat. You can chat amongst yourselves. You can chat to your listeners who are effectively peers and interested in the same things. I think there's something really special about that.
We don't really have an agenda. We have a few notes that we want to go over, but
You definitely don't.
No, can you hold up that? Can you actually hold up your page?
Yes,
That is exactly what Adrian is prepared with today.
So my daughter did this about.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
That's
No.
an abstract
That is-
piece. It's a representation of Adrian's brain.
And Dave's book, if you can just see, he says questions.
We're
So
really prepared here.
no.
Hey, let's flip that around.
So after years of radio and podcasts, this is what I've walked into, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, you walked in off the street and
To
we
a
were
very
wheeling 100 kilo tuna around on a trolley in a commercial car park, and I imagine you thought these guys are ready to rumble.
Now, there was a lot of controversy about this tuna. I put up can you guess the weight of this tuna?
Yeah, and everyone was bloody.
No, there was a
dogging me.
lot of 115s, 120s.
There was a lot of 70s, and those people
70s?
Those people are cut.
Maybe they were talking about my fish. I don't know. But
What fish was it? Your fish?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my
Yeah,
fish.
right.
So
I think I said 30 minutes.
Yeah, you said half an hour or something. Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
It
I was
made me laugh, whatever.
Yeah.
That's as good as your milk bar question
And-
last week. Did you know we answered that?
No, what did you say? What was the answer?
You're going to have to listen, mate. And everyone who's
I was really
listening
confused.
now.
I thought it was some kind of inside joke. I was like,
No.
what's the joke here?
Look, I'm sorry if it didn't go along with the trend of the show, but it was a question that I wanted to answer.
I thought it was great. I brought it up. And if people want to go back and listen to that, that is last week's episode with Jace and Michelle. You can look that up
I'm gonna have a listen.
somewhere near the end there. And
Okay.
there's some nice discussion
So-
about that.
Good.
I weighed the fish this afternoon,
Yeah.
and we kept the guts. The guts went 9.1 kilo.
So these days we weigh the guts and the fish separately because we obviously don't want the guts in the tuna, but we want to know an accurate weight.
Yeah, good.
Which is what we've done.
Well done.
Yep.
Smooth.
So 9.1, and then I've got the tuna on the forklift under the scales, and I'm thinking because Dave's
Drum roll.
Yeah, Dave's got low bowling. It's like it's going to be 80. It's going to be 90. I don't know. And I got really surprised when this thing kept going up. I'm like, oh my god, it's 91 kilo
Plus
Plus.
plus
nine.
the 9.1 kilo.
That equals 136 kilos.
No, so
you've cracked it.
Yeah, we did 100 kilo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Did anyone guess that?
There was a lot of close ones. Thomas Pinter said 102.
Oof.
Oh, not bad, Thomas.
He knows a big fish.
Yeah,
He does.
He's more of a cod weight man, so I guess he's.
Yeah, he did a lot of He's won a few.
He's
marlin
caught barrels
comps
as
too,
well.
Yeah,
But yeah, well done, Thomas. Good guesses there.
100, just over 100.
yeah.
Well done.
We cracked the
100.1.
100 kilo mark.
Magnificent.
I think we should probably go through our reports segment, Adrian. We might.
Oh yes,
The hookup.
he lost.
Welcome to the hookup. Yes.
Jesus, sorry, I wasn't prepared for
It was
that.
very
I
aggressive.
was very, very unprepared. Read your reports, Adrian.
So here we got. This is Dave's marlin. I mean tuna.
That actually, what that is a trail of where you drove the other day
Yeah.
on your GPS.
Yeah.
So I'll draw you that. It's this.
Yeah.
If I can get to my camera, I've just done
Yeah.
a little image of that. But I think that's actually a picture of Adrian's brain. And
Fried. Frazzled.
Neurons and electrons firing all over the place. But yeah, we'll get through these reports.
Yeah.
So, obviously, big
Snapper in
bluefin,
Western Port. No. Or Port
big
Phillip?
bluefin down at Port Fairy. Adrian, you can all thank Adrian for that. He invented that, everyone.
Did. I invented the Port Fairy.
Well and
bite.
truly covered that. But there is big bluefin.
Can I just say something about this bite?
No, you can't.
Dave, I sent Dave a photo of me hooked up stuck in my casting deck, and I go, share it, get people on the edge of the seat. And he put it on the story. I looked at the story and I got back in. It got shared. That story got shared about 50 times.
Yeah.
So people were into it, Dave.
Influencer, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you know what you're
That's
doing.
why there was a big ticker take parade when you went through
Yes.
Warrnambool.
I mean, people were on their way back from work, but they didn't realise that they were in for such a treat.
What's all the witches' hats for?
What is that man doing?
What is that float doing?
Anyway, the big bluefin, they're starting to get quite well spread out. So we've got obviously the fish at Port Fairy. Word is there's plenty of fish still off Apollo Bay at the oil rigs there if you can be bothered driving a million miles out to sea and driving around an oil rig. But don't get too close to the oil rig, people. 500 metre exclusion zone and you will be put in jail.
Shot. Oh,
If you're
no?
going to catch a fish, why not?
Look, word is there's a man on top of that tower with a sniper rifle and anyone who comes within the zone gets fired upon.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you're Mitch Chapman, who just seems to think he can fish wherever he wants.
Yes.
Chitch Matman.
Mitch even fishes like halfway up hills on the cod grounds, like just parks his boat on the dry
No,
land.
that was someone else. That was his mate that he was having a go at.
I know, it was Mitch.
No, that
was
was
it Mitch?
Mitch. Yeah. Don't let him off that lightly, mate.
Okay.
Yeah. And you may think
That was his old boat, wasn't it?
I saw his old boat recently. I fished down at Lake Tyers in a flathead competition, and we're not talking about tonight. Continue, Dave.
Oh, let's circle back to that one a
You
little
were
bit
in
later
the
on.
reel at
Yeah.
fishing comp.
I'm drawing
Okay.
a big arrow to the bottom of my reports and writing tyres.
It belongs at the bottom.
Lots of full stops.
Did you get prawns at least?
Prawns are on, mate. Surely you got prawns. Actually, I gave you a heads up about that before you
I
went.
was aware of the prawns, Dave.
Okay.
So was the
words
flathead.
out. Words out about the prawns. The flathead words.
It's open. Tyers is open. The prawns are gone.
Is it?
Oh, it's open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there's
yesterday.
heaps of flooding there. Yeah.
Brendan missed it again.
Shit.
Once in a century thing.
We should have waited till it opened and put a net,
Yeah.
a legal net, hand net across that little entrance. And
I've never seen we were at the pub. That's what you do when you're at Tyers. I've never seen so many people. The lights was like the MCG in that front bit, just scooping up, kilograms of prawns. Anyway, sorry, Dave.
absolutely incredible. Obviously, all the prawns meant the fish were full and they weren't eating your lures. Is the long story short there.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's move on down to Tasmania. With our Tasmanian
Tassie.
correspondent Jonah Yick has given me some of the reports happening down there.
Now, Jonah, he chose work over one of the hottest weekends of biting in game fishing history down there. There was giant bluefin biting and swordfish biting.
His work is game fishing though.
No, well, he decided he would take on the extra work that he got offered to try catch thresher sharks in Coles Bay. And so far, he hasn't
Yeah.
turned a reel.
Doesn't sound horrible, does it? Getting paid to go catch
No,
thresher sharks?
let's be honest. Could be worse things to be doing. But if you're getting paid to do that sort of thing, I'm sure he was probably sort of tearing his hair out a little bit.
He was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bluefin and swordfish caught.
I don't know why. I don't know why he did it because he's incredibly wealthy, and he'll agree with me when he listens to this. So he's told me that the tuna, obviously, tuna down there going crazy, but a lot of similar size. You know how we've got all of these mid-size 50, 60, 70 kilo fish getting around, Adrian?
Yeah.
They're getting a lot of them down there. But the real hot news down there is there's been quite a lot of swordfish hooked, lost, battled. There was one hooked off in the swordfish competition. The weather
They got
was
a
really
sword comp down there, do they?
yeah. So there was a swordfish competition at Eaglehawk Neck on the weekend. The weather was pretty average, so most people just did the tuna thing. But a couple of boats braved it, went out, and one of these boats were on a fish for 7 hours, battling away.
7 hours. That is a long, long time. Like, we did 2 3-hour days in a row on the rod.
No, I've heard.
And
Yeah.
no. And I can imagine what 7 hours
Mate.
would be like.
No.
Like,
It's a no from me.
That was on 60 kilo tackle. They are calling that fish, and I know
60 hours.
estimates
60
can
kilo, yeah.
estimates can be up for interpretation, but they were saying it was over 400 kilos, which that's reasonably large.
Yep.
So a few good swords lost, and there's been a few caught down there. Brody Corbett down there, I believe, fishing off the bottom of Storm Bay, so running out of Hobart. I could have just made that up completely.
Sounds great. And be confident with it, Dave. Be confident with it.
That's where he was. I'll even make up some GPS coordinates and give you the exact spot. No,
is that a fishing zone?
yeah, that's the zone.
Some kind of radius you got there. John.
That's what that is. So yeah, he actually a few days ago landed one and lost another one. I believe they were hooked up today. I didn't see the result of that. So
Okay.
quite a few swordfish
You
down
know
there.
what? It has been a terrible season there for the last couple of years.
Yes, that's
and
right.
now it's red hot again.
For swords, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, down at
Okay.
Tassie. Like it was
Why
like
is that?
non-existent. I don't know. Maybe
Well-
the fish didn't move with the currents down
Yeah,
there
okay.
because it's been really good off lakes for a while. So
The words localized depletion have been thrown around.
Oh, wow.
well, we think they
That's some emotional language,
we
Dave.
think they have their own little structures that they like going to,
They
and
s-
if you fish them all out of those canyons, there's none left.
I
is
think
there?
that's exactly right. I actually subscribe to that theory. I've noticed every season down there, one after the other, has become harder and harder, and I think the same things happen for us, which is my excuse for not catching any. But yeah,
Well,
this year seems to be heating up again. So
That's the
throws
first
that out
thing
the
you
window.
guys have agreed on all night. So I think we just roll with that. That's great.
Let's go with that.
Been some tension in this room.
I haven't felt any at all.
There has been on
It
my.
off.
There
Water off
has
a
been.
duck's back.
There has been on this side. It must be some sort of a tension shield over here.
I've just like whacked it off.
Yeah. Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm glad I'm in this side of the desk, actually.
Is that what you're doing over there?
Continue, Dave, please. For the love of God.
Okay, it's hard to follow on from that.
So
Little
you
bit.
got your reports done, and we're talking about Tassie has been.
Yeah. Well, moving back locally with some bread and butter fishing, I'm going to bracket all these in the same thing. We've obviously got some large gummy sharks coming in from offshore in the bays. These are things that are pretty much happening all of the year. I can write these down every week, and they're going to be true. Gummies offshore, quite a few squid in Western Port,
Yes, I've noticed they've returned.
and Port Phillip snapper still going strong.
Hang on, I reckon fishing with Fergie's caught a few squid.
Yeah,
Thanks-
Pete was
thanks,
up
Fergie.
there. I think probably
Pete
around.
Ferguson.
Yeah.
Wow. Having a. Yeah.
He's got his own YouTube channel now.
Has he?
Yeah,
What's it called?
fishing with Fergie.
Oh, you just said that.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, so that's how I knew you'd been smacking squid.
Well, there you go.
So
Check it out.
Yes, please do. So yeah, he got into quite a few squid.
Subscribe
and-
to us first, please.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Let's not be pitching other YouTube channels out there. There's only one you need to subscribe to.
Well, a rising tide floats all boats. You know
Yes.
that one? So we'll just help each other out.
His negativity's disappeared. It's dissipated a bit, and he's a positive man now again, which is great.
I've
love
had
it. I
had a
love
minute to reassess my
Good.
life, and that's what I've come up
Good.
with. Yeah, so he's not on his Pat Malone there. There's been quite a few squid getting caught in both bays, actually. The kingfish seem to be slowing. The water seems to be turning over a little bit. We're transitioning into the cooler water species.
Yep.
So moving through
The
there.
autumn
And
swell.
of course, the ever-present whiting have been quite good in Western Port as well.
Now, do you specialise in whiting fishing, Dave?
Certainly do.
You answered that pretty quickly.
Look, years ago, I could answer that I was quite a proficient whiting fisherman, but I've reevaluated, and in recent years, I probably haven't given them the time that they deserve as a premier sports fish, Adrian.
Oh, they're more of a bait fish, like a sabiki rig thing these days.
I think that's a little bit out of order.
That's a bit harsh. Hey, listen. I know that they're not the fashionable species that you guys are. We've got pictures on your walls of all these big sport fish and game fish, but again, going back to basics, that they are a very popular species. And I will say, now that I'm residing on the Ballerine Peninsula, guys,
Yes. You got to add that accent, guys.
no, it's I mean, it's a whiting mecca. Like, and I'm not just trying to stir it up because I know you just want to talk about tuna, but thick whiting, like really healthy size, big, and the squid are starting. I'm being serious for a minute.
I'm learning.
No, well, don't worry about it. And
The squid are starting to
great.
come. The whiting are big and juicy and thick and all that sort of stuff. And the squid are coming in.
Tell us about your 100 kilo tuna again if you want.
Oh, I've talked about it once, mate. It happened yesterday. Like, you got to give me at least a little bit
No,
of a
fair enough.
period to brag about it. Bloody hell.
It's true.
Absolutely. And I think you're wrong, by the way. I think whiting are cool. Are quite a sought after species. They are cool.
Do you
But
remember when Brendan renamed them to make them cooler? He called them spotted bones.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Absolutely sort of.
I mean, it just goes to show you that when a species needs to be rebranded to make it popular, what does that tell you?
Yeah. You know who wouldn't fish for whiting because he's too cool?
Mitch Chapman.
Mitch Chapman.
You know what?
That's
he
actually-
went whiting fishing the other week.
Did he?
Yeah.
See, that didn't
In
hit his
Western Port.
Instagram page, did
No,
it?
oh, well, you'll see it in 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
When they're all depleted from Western Port, he'll be the one catching them.
Yes. Jesus.
He was just out there with his tennis rackets and sporting equipment, having a bit of a training session. Happened to cross some whiting. So
Yeah.
that'll about wrap up the hookup report segment there, Adrian. Now we did put a shout out for some questions on Instagram, but I did it very late.
Okay, I can get that up if you like.
So grab that up. We'll see if people have. I put a nice
there's a
photo
lot.
of you looking
There's-
terrified.
Yeah, I've just seen that now, and I didn't realise you had that. So
Oh, wow. Is this a private message that Dave's now put
Holy
for the
crap,
public
there's-
forum?
yeah, there's a lot of questions.
People have participated.
Wow.
There's a lot.
Thanks,
Okay.
Wind Against Tiders.
Was
That's
that
age. That's actually. I've actually superimposed his face there. That was off from a different photo, but we won't talk about that.
okay?
Do you want to go through some questions, Adrian?
Oh, I can read them.
Yep. Are you going to read the ones that are just statements this time and lead to nothing, or are you going to actually
there's
read
been a controversial one that we speak about all the time, and it starts off with P. Clinch Fishing, and he's asking, when does a tuna become a barrel?
How heavy was yours?
Oh, yeah, it was a barrel.
That's a good question. I like that.
No, I want to wait. Yours,
Well-
we're saying 70. I'd
Yeah.
say probably 71.
Yeah. Anyway, I just think if you can't physically hold them in your own hands and stuff, it's a barrel.
And ultimately, the nickname because of the shape of a barrel,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right, yeah.
I guess, it becomes a thing
But
where you've got
it's-
your arms out. And,
There's a lot of guys who say 100 and over. That's a barrel.
oh, okay.
Oh, they're bloody heroes, aren't they? Ugh, it's become, how
Jonah?
negative do you have to be get upset at someone calling a tuna a barrel? Seriously.
There's a lot of that. And so, okay, so you're saying 70 and over.
No,
Well, it's a bit convoluted now because we have all these mid-sized fish coming through. So
you would never catch a 70-kilo fish.
years ago,
Yeah.
very uncommon. But I don't really have an answer for that.
Well, just give us your opinion.
Yeah.
I think.
He's right.
Look, it's just on the spur of the moment. I'm going to say, God, it's so hard. I'm going to say
He's going to put me down here, guys.
80, 80 plus, 80 plus barrel. Down from, and people talk about like there's some written scripture that you have to follow, but this is my opinion.
No, exactly.
And I think anything that's like clearly not a school fish, so anything sort of 30 to 30, that's a bit light, maybe 40 kilo plus. I mean, what do you call them?
Catch a lot of
that's a
40
keg.
school fish in
That's a
Burmese
keg.
and
They're a
stuff.
keg. They're a keg.
They're a keg.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So what would you call 70 then?
Barrel.
for you, Adrian, it's a barrel.
No, but you wouldn't call that a keg.
No.
It's a big keg.
Yeah, okay.
a big keg is a barrel.
Oh, God, do we need another item of measurement between
Between a keg and a barrel.
It's a silo.
That's bigger.
That's bigger.
a whale.
Yeah. That's a whale.
an actual whale.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if you have an opinion, you guys, but
All right, so we got one from Shenny. How long do you think before these run a bigger SBT come around the Otways and head to our local waters? Well, I don't know if they're the same like the same genus pool coming over. Well, it's the same genus pool, but it's not the same school, I don't reckon.
no, I sort of get what you're trying to say
Yeah.
there. I can see into your brain of squiggles and
This
work out
squiggle
what you're
here?
saying.
It's just
Traditionally, I would start looking locally a little bit later on, although I know there has been some big ones caught probably around this time.
well, you know what? There's not normally a Port Fairy bite like this, so perhaps there might be a bite out there.
Look, my advice for local bluefin is once I hear of fish at Apollo Bay inshore, then I start to look locally as a rule of thumb, because I think that's for a big bluefin, that's bugger all water for them to cover, and they're already on the inshore grounds and moving that direction. So there's bluefin at the oil rigs off Apollo at the moment, and that's basically on the shelf line. So I wouldn't be, I mean, I can't be certain, but I'd say it's likely they're not going to be coming through Bass Strait and past Western Port. But what do I know, Adrian?
Not a lot.
No, it's a fair assessment, I would have thought.
Well, traditionally, these the ones we see locally are like next size class up, which are like most of them are over 100, and they're up to like whatever 150. They're the real big dogs. So
Yeah.
I think it's a different pack of fish,
Yes.
in my opinion. Yep. Does that cover that? Happy with that?
Yeah. No, we're happy with that. Unless
No.
you've got another opinion.
I've caught so many 100-kilo tuna that I can't even remember them all. So
Okay, very good.
Yeah, you've caught one. You've caught them all, haven't you?
We got one from Fishing Nana here. She's saying, do you just find fish on your sounder or where the birds are working?
Don't sound too enthused, Adrian.
Well, I don't know what is she talking about tuna?
Yeah, she's talking about the fish,
Probably.
the tuna we caught recently.
Well,
Let's talk
that
about them
particular
again.
day, I reckon the bigger ones weren't on birds. I reckon it was sounding the bait
Wrong.
down deep. Okay.
Wrong.
no,
You
but
tell
you
us,
said
Dave.
you didn't sound one when you hooked up. You didn't.
No,
have
no,
one.
sounding the bait.
Oh, the bait.
Yeah. And
Okay, so here's how it went down, everyone. Where the big tuna were, there was a lot of thick mid-water broken up bait, and there was the big tuna were working that. That's why there was quite a lot of blind hookups. But throughout the day, there were spot fires of birds popping up, and the tuna were working around the peripherals of that.
yes.
Which is when we had our double hookup of the big ones. And quite often you will hook the big fish on the outskirts of the bait bowl when they're sort of zipping around looking for food. That's when they're at their most aggressive. They're not locked in feeding on the actual bait ball itself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. They're actually actively hunting. We did notice that there was a lot of school bluefin to the west of where we were, moving quickly with mutton birds, and the bait was a bit thinner and higher up there, and probably we sort of decided that wasn't enough to sustain the bigger tuna, so we moved back to the thick bait.
What a elaborate answer you got there,
That's
Dave.
brilliant answer. Well done.
That's my
I would
summation.
have said we found bait and trolled through it.
Okay. Well, I hope that sums it up for you, Fishing Nana. Do you want me to read out one here,
Oh,
Adrian?
you can read one out, Dave.
Oh, thanks very much. If you could, so Dean Hoy has asked, if you could only drag 2 lures for barrels, what would they be, size and colour? Go, Adrian.
This Laser Pro red bait, which is Luke's got here,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
and a Blue Dog JB Dingo.
Blue Dog.
Yeah.
Is that what that colour is?
I don't know what it's called, but I call it Blue Dog. What's it called?
Oh, I think it might be. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
There is a blue colour. So, yeah, for me it would be a JB Dingo, probably in that blue
Blue
pilchard
Dog,
colour, which is Blue Dog.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a Pakula medium sprocket in Evil Angel.
That is
They're my two.
that is a good lure there. I've caught a marlin in that lure before.
Caught a lot of barrels. I've got one of those at home. It's caught about 7 barrels of its own.
Wow.
So, yeah, very consistent lure. And I didn't even run it the
I
other day.
cast it on light leader and lose it.
And also, special mention to the duck and the rat lures.
Have
Yes.
they had any success yet?
Not yet, but I didn't have access to the duck on the
Right.
weekend, which I wish I did because I probably would have caught on it
No.
on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you would have. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, on the school tuna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke, you're not really a barrel fisherman, but
No.
would
Just said
you?
he's caught so many. He
I
can't
can't
remember.
even remember. Kegs, I'm very familiar with kegs.
Kegs.
But again, not talking about tuna, just kegs in general. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that then. Next question, Adrian. Oh, well, here you go. Here's a quick, easy one for you, Adrian.
Yep.
Who did the tune on your Yamaha?
Well, some Perth Marine tuning guy. I think that's his name. Perth Marine Tuning.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you
Quick and
Google that
simple.
one.
You just take out your ECU out of your motor and put it in the mail and send it to him, and he sends it back, and it's within 6 days from sending in, you get it back.
Pop it back in and Bob's your uncle.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
Luke, here's a good one for you and I. Who's going to win the
nervous.
AFL Grand Final? My money is on Melbourne.
Well, do we need to answer that?
Yeah, mighty
you know,
D's.
back to back. That's
Yeah.
all I need to say.
I mean,
Someone actually said their money's on Melbourne.
Well, they're smart humans.
yeah. I mean, it's going to be a what's the word? An era of
Dynasty.
dynasty. That's the one I was looking for.
Like a Chinese emperor, isn't it?
Dynasty.
No, it's a time. It's an era.
What the hell?
No, that's the actual thing. Look it up.
Okay, look it up.
I'm not going to look it
Dynasty.
up because it'll just show us.
No, look, we're not turning into those sort of supporters already, Dave, but we've had a very exciting 12 months leading into this season as well. So let's just hope the Demons can do it again, or at least have a crack.
Look, it doesn't even matter because we've won now, so we can roll. The pressure is off, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's all I'm going to say.
Jeez.
The lid is on though. The lid is firmly on.
Yeah, we haven't seen like another team really take it up because it's always been like Geelong and Hawthorn and now do you reckon it's Melbourne's turn?
It's our turn, mate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely our turn. What was the setup you used on the barrel, Adrian?
Okay, so it was a 6 to 12 kilo snapper rod.
Yeah. What was it? Was a Shimano Revolution.
Yeah, Shimano Revolution with a 10,000 Saragossa 30-pound braid. And the night before I actually caught that, I cut off my 40-pound leader and put 120-pound leader on it. Tied straight to that lure.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you think any other leader strength would have done the job?
No. If you felt that leader, you would have felt some nicks close to the knot.
Yep.
I would be confident with 120, unless the lure was deep and running across the fish's teeth, then you'd probably be in a bit of froth and bubble.
Yeah.
But 120, not too bad. Not too bad.
Okay.
What rods do you like for bluefin, both schoolies and barrels? We talked about your schooly setup, which is apparently a barrel setup as well.
What about a keg
apparently it's
setup?
not a barrel.
Keg setup. Oh, that's when we move up to our gummy rods.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
What sort of action and power do you like in the rod? We're not.
You don't want. It's not ideal to have a snapper rod that's just bent over to its maximum degree, fighting the fish the whole time.
So I like to run 37 kilo in case you get a horrible stubborn fish like I had yesterday, and that gives you
ridiculous.
the option to. Yes, that gives you the option to really put some acid on it and for it to break your spirit. But yeah, probably my favourite ones that I have at the moment are a couple of Shimano Tag'em. They're actually a sword rod. They're a bent butt.
So I've got some behind Luke there. They're
similar.
Yeah, they're straight butt ones.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same blank or not. But yeah, I find my bent butt sword ones. They fold away quite nicely when you're on a tuner and give you good lifting power. And they also don't have roller guides, so you don't have that issue of seizing up and a lot of maintenance on them, which I'm into that. Anti-maintenance.
Good.
It's interesting the shift in rod design over the last 4 or 5 years that big fish fishing has become such a accessible thing to do now. It's all of a sudden there's a shift in some of the big brands bringing out rods specifically for that. It's interesting. Some of the rods that are on the market now weren't really even looked at here in Australia a number of years ago.
No.
Yeah. No, we're definitely starting to take on some tackle from fisheries like like some of the stuff over in America and filtering into our tackle source, which you'd be an expert on, Luke.
Oh.
Would that be part of your job?
Yep. No, look, it is, and yeah, that, again, being a part of that tackle industry, seeing the evolution and the forever changing, whether it be light tackle, heavy tackle, or even just the lures. It's a fashion. It's I keep saying it, especially with lures. We're in a fashion industry.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, 100%.
Whatever's hot is what you bring in, and it's what you sell through, and like it's all got its purpose and it's all got its thing, but ultimately we're in this fashion industry that you got to go with the trends, and the trends die off, you know, as any trend does, and eventually you just got to
rename it like Spotted Bones.
Yeah.
100%. So I don't know if we mentioned, but you do work for, is it Complete Angler? Is it?
Yeah, Complete Angler, the head office.
The camping and...
Yeah, Camping World is one of our brands as well.
That's it. Yeah. So you're well qualified to answer that question. So
thanks.
That's why we got you in. That specific question that I didn't even know was going to get asked.
There you
go. Yep. So we've got a couple more questions left. We'll run through them quickly. Can you guys get Vic Hislop on to provide some balance to the Tiger Shark tagging discussions on episode 3? Do we know who Vic Hislop is?
Is that Jonah?
No. Someone named Ryan has asked that. Do you know who Vic Hislop is, Luke?
No.
Oh, look it up when you get home. He's a very old school fellow. Have you ever seen the photo of that giant great white that got caught at Seal Rocks years ago, and it's on Cowes Beach and hanging by a crane? So that was Vic Hislop's work.
Right.
He was a big believer in killing sharks, basically, and thought that they were
drumline out.
Basically get them before they get us sort of mentality.
Yeah, right.
And thought that most disappearances could be traced back to sharks. I'm not sure if he's just talking about marine disappearances or if they're getting extremely sneaky and
Oh, the land sharks.
nabbing people.
You got to watch the land sharks.
Yes, I call them real estate agents.
Yeah. Was Vic a anti-vaxxer as well? Potentially.
Well, I don't think he's still with us.
You got eaten by a shark.
That's the plot line of Jaws. Anyway, yeah, Vic had a couple of these big sharks on display in like Harvey Bay.
Right.
And we were discussing in episode 3, our friend Jonah went up and put a lot of sat tags on big tiger sharks at the Whit Sundays. So
Cool.
that's where that question's coming from. Actually, he must be alive then. This guy wants us to get him on.
Okay.
Otherwise, that'd be a really awkward interview.
Sounds interesting. I could imagine he'd be really right-winged.
Yeah.
Little bit. Last question before we wrap up.
Yes.
How do you rate the difference in performance, this is to me, of Adrian's 420 seats being propped?
Oh,
Wow, I hadn't been in it since it had the chip and the new prop. And no, it's certainly... The one thing's for sure, that old motor would not have got us up on plane with that big tuna on the deck.
no.
It would have been a slow trip in from the ocean.
We wouldn't have got on the plane, no way.
It is
Because we would have had to try get that tuna on the bow to get on the plane.
yeah. So
Which would have been impossible.
Yeah.
props to Peter Bobcat for propping that boat. It's
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So yeah, she's performing really nicely.
I don't get it. No.
We'll explain it to you after.
Give me your notepad and I'll draw some squiggly lines and you'll be able to understand it.
Lovely.
It seems to be performing really well. What can I say? She's a little weapon.
Oh, beautiful.
You happy with that summation, Adrian?
There was another thing. Someone's
was it?
asking about TB2F skirts.
What are they asking? It literally
Are
just
they any
says...
good? I guess.
no,
You've got the question mark.
There's no question.
And then
What is
Phil's done a fist pump thing.
It just says TB2F skirts.
Oh, I assume you missed the question mark.
See how I didn't read that out because it's not a valid question?
Oh, he's very literal, Dave.
Hang on, I've got
Stanley.
another one. Also, congratulations to Adrian. Oh, thanks, Ryan.
I ignored that too because I didn't want your head getting any bigger. But yes, congratulations, Adrian, and well done. Very well. I must say it is a well-deserved capture because we have been chasing big tuna together for many years, and for various reasons you've missed out. And well done.
No, thanks. I'm
Congratulations.
Really happy with it.
Yeah, and I think that's a lovely way to finish the show, don't you guys?
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet, guys.
Raising each other up.
That's sweet.
No, thanks for coming on, Luke. It was really nice to meet you and
Absolutely,
had a
likewise.
great fun time. I loved your sense of humour.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. We appreciate having you on. And like I said, you did in part inspire this whole podcast. So we really do need to send out a big thanks for that.
And make sure you share it around this episode because we want to get the numbers past the Mitch Chapman episode. I'll just finish with that.
Very good. Good finish. What's up, you bloody legends? Thanks for listening to Win Against Tide again. That's it for another episode. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'd be doing us a massive favour. Thanks, guys. Tell us about your barrel again, Adrian.
Yeah, I'm the barrel lord.